It is the 20th of February. In 4 days, the war in Ukraine will be completing a year. Nobody expected this war to rage on for this long, but it has, and it's only been getting worse because the question of a nuclear attack continues to hang in the air. Fears of Vladimir Putin using nukes have been raised time and again. But could Ukraine go nuclear? Russia is speculating that it might. Russia, in fact, has made tall claims amid this war, so has Ukraine. But this one cannot be taken lightly because it could lead to large-scale destruction and its repercussions would last long. I am talking about a possible nuclear attack. Moscow claims Kyiv is planning to stage a nuclear incident on its territory. But why its own territory? Let me tell you. To look like a victim, to pin the blame on Russia ahead of a United Nations meeting. These are simply accusations for the time being. The Russian Defense Ministry has not provided any evidence for the claim, but it did say that radioactive substances have been transported to Ukraine from a European country and that Kyiv is preparing a large-scale provocation. Now, this is not something new. Russia has repeatedly accused Ukraine of planning false flag operations. These allegations usually involve non-conventional weapons involving biological or radioactive materials. Look at this one. This claim was made only 2 weeks ago. According to Russia, Ukraine was planning to blow up its own buildings, kill civilians, and accuse Russia of war crimes. You might also remember the dirty bomb accusation. In late October, Moscow said that Kyiv was planning to detonate an explosive device to scatter radioactive waste. But has any such attack materialized? So far, it has not. So is Russia crying wolf again? You see, the country has already been hounded by sanctions. Several countries have shunned Russia's actions. A false flag operation in Ukraine is the last thing it can afford at the moment. So it is beating the drums in advance. And if anything, the country itself just slimly missed triggering a nuclear disaster in Ukraine. Kyiv's national power regulator says 2 Russian cruise missiles came close to hitting the South Ukraine nuclear power plant. The missiles were targeted towards a settlement, but the risk of a nuclear disaster was indeed high. So is Russia really in a position to throw around such accusations? Or is it a tactic to downplay its own attacks? Because the Defense Ministry's accusations came right after this incident. And it doesn't even stop there. Moscow has accused Kyiv of using bioweapons, but it seems to be doing something similar of sorts itself. Russia appears to be draining an enormous reservoir in Ukraine. I'm talking about the Kakhovka Reservoir in the Dnieper River. It was built along the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant. According to satellite data obtained by NPR, water has been gushing out of the reservoir through the dam gates since the month of November. The hydro dam pumps water into the North Crimean Canal. And guess who controls it? Russian forces. The reservoir's water level has plummeted to its lowest point in 3 decades. It has lost nearly 6 feet of water since the 1st of November. Why exactly would Russia do that? What is at stake? Let me tell you, hundreds of thousands of residents depend on this reservoir for drinking water. It irrigates nearly 500,000 acres of farmland. And most importantly, this water is used in the cooling system at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The plummeting water level has sent alarm bells ringing. The International Atomic Energy Agency is also concerned. Meanwhile, Ukrainian authorities are simply watching the water as it drains away. Moscow has accused Europe, meanwhile, of delivering nuclear materials to Kyiv, but it might be receiving a special package from China itself. At least that is what the US is saying at this point. According to America, China is seeking to provide lethal support to Russia. What exactly is this lethal support? The Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, says it could be anything ranging from ammunition to the weapons themselves, and it does not sit right with the US. The country has issued a stark warning in clear words. It says any lethal supplies to Russia would cause a serious problem. And if that wasn't enough, President Biden has made it abundantly clear through a surprise visit to Kyiv. He has vowed endless support to President Zelensky. The American leader also came bearing gifts, further promised $500 million worth of weaponry to Ukraine, and this would be including artillery ammunition, anti-armor systems, and air defense radars, along with tighter sanctions on Russia.
That dark night, 1 year ago, the world was literally at the time bracing for the fall of Kyiv. Seems like a lot longer ago than a year, but think back to that year. Perhaps even the end of Ukraine. You know, 1 year later, Kyiv stands, and Ukraine stands. Democracy stands. The Americans stand with you, and the world stands with you.
So clearly the war is not just between Ukraine and Russia. It hasn't been for a long time. Countries have picked their sides. China has supported Russia politically and diplomatically. And now, as the US accuses, Beijing might go beyond that and help in arming Moscow. The West has been supporting Ukraine since the beginning. Almost a year on, where is the war headed? WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.